friends, welcome to another episode of Existential Dread. You know, there's so much free time now that I can just sit in my bed and contemplate the meaning of life. Just stare into space. I made like a little list in my bullet journal of things that I need to get done. I'm trying to do yoga every day with Yoga with Adrian, but I already super failed at that and I skipped a lot of days, so I'm now really trying to get myself to just do it every day because it's a great way to get some movement. I need to get a video edited today and I need to do dishes. I am for the first time putting reading on my to-do list. I never do that because I don't want reading to be another thing on my to-do list, another chore, but because of the weird times I'm having a really hard time motivating myself to just sit down and read something. I'm still reading the Priory of the Orange Tree. Oh my gosh! My clothes match the cover even more this time. If you've seen my last videos, you know that I was reading this for the 24-hour readathon, and honestly I haven't picked it up since then. So yeah, let's just see how I'm gonna do with sticking to my goals and actually doing these things. I'm not just reading a physical book, I'm also reading an audiobook next to it, and right now I am reading The Hand on the Wall by Maureen Johnson, which is the third book in the Truly Devious series, a series that has been the bane of my existence for the past 3 weeks because I cannot make up my mind about whether I love it or hate it. I fell in love with the concept because you all know I'm just a hoe for those boarding school stories. Our main character is like super interested in detective work and there are murders at school and she's trying to figure out the mystery, and it's really cool but also not very good. It's one of those books that starts out really great and is then just stretched out over 3 books without it really needing to be 3 books long. Characters are all fantastic, quirky and lovely, but then also they remain the same quirky, stereotypical version of themselves throughout the entire 3 books without any kind of character development, and it's kind of starting to irritate me by now. I loved this when I started with Truly Devious, but then with each book and throughout the first book I just started enjoying it less and less, but also I still really love it because I can't stop listening to it. Like, it's so addictive, but also not very good. But there's a little story that I need to tell about how I actually managed to read these books, because I listened to Truly Devious on Scribd. I took like a trial, but the thing with Scribd is if you read too much, they block a bunch of books for you, which I know has something to do with the licensing and the fact that it's pretty cheap. And when I finished Truly Devious, I suddenly saw that the second book and the third book were unavailable to me on Scribd. No! I was so excited to just binge read the entire series, but I couldn't. Out of spite for Scribd, I got a free trial on Storytel. And I'm using that free trial to listen to The Vanishing Stair and The Hand on the Wall. Yeah. And welcome to another episode of Leonie waits for packages that just don't seem to arrive. So there's this one book that has been on my radar for a while that I was very excited about, so much that I actually decided to pre-order it, which is something that I never do. In the Netherlands, it was going to be the 9th of March. So then the 9th of March rolled around and I hadn't really received any message that any package was on its way. So I looked on the website and suddenly it said that the publication date was like the 13th of March. So I was like, okay, that's a little weird, but sure, it's only a few days. Then the 13th came around and suddenly it said that the publication date was going to be the 18th of March. And this just continued for a while until at one point it said that it wasn't going to be published until the 28th of March, which is tomorrow. So I was distraught. Until one day I looked at the website and it didn't say anything about, oh, it's going to be published this and this date. It just said, oh, if you order now, it'll arrive in 2 to 3 weeks. It means the book is published. So why didn't I have it in my hands if I pre-ordered it? So I did a Karen and asked the help desk service, talk to a bot, where's my parcel? And the bot said, maybe I should bring you over to a real human. And the real human is like, this is weird. Let me send you over to the headquarters. So the request of my tiny little soul who just wants to read in Enemies to Lovers fantasy romance books is sent over to the headquarters. And then a few days later, they were going to send it to me right now, immediately. And the good news is, I got it! Yay! You may already have kind of an inkling of what book I'm talking about. I purposely evaded any kind of review because I wanted to create my own opinion. It is The Shadow Between Us by Tricia Levenseller. Look at that! It looks super thin. I'm not usually a fan of those like very shiny covers, but I love the design. Let's see if there's anything underneath here. Ooh! Red with some roses. I don't think you can see that. But there's like roses embossed in here and oh my god! Didn't even see this. Whoa! Very shiny. They went high on the shine with the design of this book. Actually, let me just read the blurb because it just explains it all. Alessandra is tired of being overlooked, but she has a plan to gain power. Woo the Shadow King, marry him, kill him and take his kingdom for herself. I hear enemies to lovers, I hear dark fantasy, I hear an anti-hero. 5-star prediction right there. Hello, I'm using the last bit of daylight to tell you about the exciting things that are happening tomorrow. First off, let me just say I'm at my parents' house right now. I'm staying with them for the weekend because I haven't seen them in a very long time. But this weekend is also something very exciting because it's going to be the Bookie Trials Royal Weekender readathon. If you don't know, the Bookie Trials are an amazing immersive readathon that happens in the summer. There's a test for which you can see if you're a mage or a bard or an outlaw or a scribe. And I am a mage, which is really cool. So everything that I'm going to do for the readathon will count towards the team of the mages. And this weekend they have kind of like a small version of the readathon for which you can kind of gain extra points. You have to collect badges and each badge has a prompt. There are a few general prompts like finishing at least one book and showing your TBR online, which I already did on Instagram. But then there are also class-specific prompts, so I have to do the ones for the mage. One of them is just to watch your favorite booktuber, which is going to be easy, and the other ones are having a book that's purple on the cover, having a 5-star prediction, and exploring a new world. And I actually have one book that would immediately fit all of those prompts, like that's allowed, that's okay, and that is actually The Shadows Between Us by Tricia Levenseller. I'm very excited. There's going to be like live shows and reading sprints, and at the end there's going to be something like called the Masquerade Ball. It all sounds really cool. I'm just going to take you on the journey with me. Pages into this book right now, and I have to admit I'm not convinced yet. I think it's mostly the writing style. Everything that happens here is very on the nose. Like the main character Alessandra and the Shadow King are having a dinner together and they just spill out all their deepest secrets to each other. Like the Shadow Kings would literally say things like, I want the world, I want to own all of it. And then our main character just says things like, I want friends, I want to be a bigger part of the world around me. If I'm seen and respected, others will value my opinion. You know what I'm saying? These are good character motives. But the thing about character motives is characters don't just like spill them out, literally. Everything just feels like it lacks subtlety. But there is one good news. Something is happening in this book, and it is fake dating. Woohoo! I am disappointed, let down, unsatisfied. You've just witnessed more chemistry than is in this book. I do have to finish this book now though. 100 pages later. So in the last 100 pages, the story redeemed itself a little bit. There was an inkling of chemistry this time around. But in the end, I still am just wholly disappointed in this book. It's 10 in the evening, there's a masquerade ball starting, and I'm late! It's Monday today, the Bookie Trials ended yesterday. It was so much fun. Honestly, I cannot wait for like the full Bookie Trials month-long readathon in July. But for now, I have 2 days left until the end of March. In April, the O.W.L.s are starting, which is a month-long magical readathon based around Harry Potter. I'll talk about that a little bit later. The thing is, I want to have like a clean slate before the beginning of April so I can spend the entirety of April reading my TBR for that readathon. but I'm still currently reading 2 books. I'm still reading The Priory with the Orange Tree, and I'm still listening to The Hand on the Wall by Maureen Johnson. Firmly, I have both of them finished by the end of March, so in 2 days. Realistically, I don't think I'm gonna be able to finish The Priory because I still have to read 400 pages. But you know, maybe a miracle will happen. But at least I'm gonna try to finish The Hand on the Wall in the next 2 days. Hello! I haven't really been reading much today because this was mostly just a day of like running errands and things. Sometimes you find things that you loved as a child and then when you kind of grew up in your teenage years, you were kind of like, yeah, I don't like that anymore. That's like I've outgrown it. And then when you're in your 20s, you discover it again and you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I need it. So I found this. And obviously I had to take it with me to my dorm room. I love this so much. I'm gonna have like a Just Dance party this evening or something. It's gonna be fun. I was editing this vlog for a bit and I saw like my earlier expectations that I had for The Shadows Between Us, which I finished yesterday, and I thought for the sake of like review, I thought we would just go through the 3 expectations that I gave and talk about whether they were met or not. I was just watching a Frolic Fictions vlog and she's always playing the same song and it's stuck in my head. I hear enemies to lovers. No, not really. I was kind of wrong to say this is an enemies to lovers. I do think it's marketed that way, but honestly, it's not. It's more like a Slytherin romance, I guess. The moment Alessandra and the Shadow King meet, they kind of get along, so they're not enemies. I would even go as far as to say I enjoyed their friendship dynamic, and I think I might have enjoyed this book more if it just stayed at a really great camaraderie friendship. Because they didn't have any chemistry. I hear dark fantasy. No. As a dark fantasy connoisseur, I'm not a connoisseur, I just like to think that I am. I'm gonna pretend that I am. I know that I'm not. This book presents you with the illusion that it is a dark story by having a love interest that has shadow magic and a main character that killed her ex-boyfriend. But other than that, it's very light, actually. Like, just mentioning that our main character like killed someone and continuously saying like how Slytherin she is doesn't really turn it into a dark story. Like, you gotta get psychological, gotta get more gruesome, more violent. There were so many dark themes just available waiting to be picked up, but it was as if Tricia Levenseller was just like, nah, I don't need that, because my story's already dark enough because I have a guy with shadow magic. I hear an anti-hero. Anti-hero. Okay, that was like the only thing that I do kind of enjoy. Our main character was indeed very like snarky. She was very okay with like killing people, basically, so I guess that makes her an anti-hero. To me, at least, the interesting thing about an anti-hero is not to just have someone that does all sorts of bad things and somehow that's fun. The interesting about an anti-hero is the psychological part. She didn't have that at all. I retract my chef's kiss. I might just do a full review, but we'll see about that. But for now, I think I'm just gonna do some yoga for today. I'm gonna cook, listen to The Hand on the Wall, and then tomorrow I will talk to you about the O.W.L.s readathon and give you my TBR. My room is a disco dance right now, so let's play some Just Dance. Stayed up way too late yesterday watching Winx Club and doing Just Dance videos. So now it's like in the afternoon already, but it's never too late to start your day and get your things together. evening and I just finished The Hand on the Wall. So I finished my goal of finishing The Hand on the Wall. I finished The Shadows Between Us. I only didn't really read much in the Priory of the Orange Tree because, to be honest, it's just too much. I knew that I wasn't going to be able to finish this before April 1st. So I think I'm just gonna have to scoot it over to May. Yes, May. Because obviously it would be cheating if I were to read a book that I'm already halfway into for the Owls, which is going to be all of April. First, let me tell you about The Hand on the Wall. I cannot tell you what I thought of that book in particular because I binge read the whole Truly Devious series, and to be honest, they all blur together, mostly just because my main conclusion of reading this series is that it should have just been one big book. It really feels like it was just a story, a complete story that was chopped up into 3 parts just to make it a trilogy. Not a fan of that. I did have fun. I think I'm just gonna give all the books like 3 stars. I love the whole concept and everything, but it kind of dragged on after a while and the initial like excitement kind of wore off. Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts. I might also do like a full review on that one, maybe. It's time to talk about my TBR for what I'm gonna read next. In April, it is the Owls, the magical readathon, which is kind of based on the Harry Potter exams that are called the Owls. My favorite thing about this readathon is that you can choose a magical career and then you have to take classes in order to get that career, and each class translates to a prompt for a book. In order to pick a career, I had to create a TBR, and if you know me, I'm really bad at creating TBRs, and it became very apparent to me why I never make them, because I had a hard time. I just have a few books that I know I want to read the next month, and it was very hard to kind of try to fit those in with the prompts. There were certain careers like the Mind Medic, which I would have loved to do, that I just couldn't do because it had certain prompts that I could not find a book for the life of me. But after a lot of puzzling and thinking about it, I found a way to choose the career that I really wanted to be. So I will now show you my Owls TBR. I actually filmed this clip a few days ago, but I felt like it fits better at this part of the vlog, so enjoy. Was this necessary? Nope. Am I doing it? Yep. My eyeliner is at the end of its life and it shows, so I'm just not gonna zoom in too much. I have decided what my career is going to be, and I want to be an astronomer. Woo! From the moment that I first read through all the career lists, I knew that I wanted to be an astronomer because I always wanted to be an astronomer as a kid. Like, my favorite books were all about space and stuff. So I realized that if you want to study astronomy, it's like 5% actual astronomy and the rest is just optic physics, and optic physics was like my least favorite part of physics. So I've decided it's probably better for me to just read books about astronomy instead of study it myself. But with the Owls, anything is possible, so I took this chance to become like a magical astronomer. The great thing is it has only 3 prompts to finish it, so that means that outside of the Owls I still have space to read whatever book that I want to read. So this is the astronomer. The first prompt is arithmecy, which is the number 2 opposites. Choose a book that is outside your favorite genre. Well, my favorite genre is fantasy. I have 2 options for this one because who am I choosing a TBR that's not flexible, right? We love flexibility in this house. So my first option is to read Semiosis. Found this on Script and it sounds super cool. It's a science fiction, which is something I never read. It's about humans discovering aliens on another planet, but the thing that drew me in about this is that the whole point is that they don't at first realize the life forms as life forms because they don't look like humans at all. One of my pet peeves in science fiction movies is that when there's aliens, they always just look like humans, like they stand up straight and they have like 4 limbs and a head. If there was alien life, why would they look like animals, let alone humans? I think it's just a little bit arrogant and also shows a lack of imagination. If there's aliens, it's probably gonna look like something we can't even imagine. And this book is kind of about that. Just the premise really intrigued me, so I really want to read that one. And the other option that I have for a book outside my comfort zone is a thriller, and that is My Sister Rosa by Justine Laballestier. This is a like psychological thriller, I think, about a boy whose sister is kind of sadistic and creepy, but she doesn't show that to anyone except for him, so he's the only one that knows that she does weird things. Sounds very creepy, very dark, so I might read this as well. Then the second prompt is astronomy, which is to read a book mostly during the night. So this is kind of like a wild card. You can just pick any kind of book but just read it during the night. So for this one I chose The Star-Touched Queen by Roshani Chokshi. I read her other book, The Guild of Wolves, and loved it. I don't have it yet. I ordered it online. It is about a girl who is betrothed to a magical king, and she comes to his palace, and there's a lot of like magical things happening, and a lot of people dislike this book, so I'm just wondering what I think of this. And then the last one is A History of Magic. This one to me was the most difficult because you have to find a book with wizards in it, and I honestly don't have anything with witches or wizards in it. But then I found that I still have this book, Hans Christian Andersen's Fairy Tales. I did read a few of these fairy tales already, but I decided to just reread everything and just read the whole thing. And one of the fairy tales in here is The Little Mermaid, and The Little Mermaid has a witch, so finally getting around to reading this book, because I think this book has been on my Goodreads currently reading for like 3 years now. I'm also going to take like some just extra classes. I just found a few books that I know that I want to read in April and just fit them with some of the prompts. So I'm also going to take Defense Against the Dark Arts, and for that one you have to read a book that takes place at the coast, and that's great because I really want to read The Lord of the Flies by William Golding, so I'm gonna read that book. And then I'm also going to take the class Care of Magical Creatures, and for that one you have to read a book with a beak on the cover, which is also great because I still want to reread The Hunger Games before the new book comes out in May, so that's perfect. And if this wasn't flexible enough already, I have a backup plan in case I do end up reading a lot of books. You know, if I read more books, I do want my books to count for the Ravenclaw House Cup. So if I end up reading a lot of books that do all fit with one of the prompts, I'm going to be a Hogwarts professor of astronomy. Nailed it! Because for that one, you just have to choose the subject that you want to become a Hogwarts professor on, which is astronomy, which is also a class that I already would have to take to want to be an astronomer. Then you have to do Defense Against the Dark Arts, which, like I said, I'm already gonna do as an extra class because I want to read The Lord of the Flies. And then you just have to take 5 other classes of your choosing. So I can just choose which classes I want to take, which is a lot easier because then I can just kind of pick and choose the books that I've read that fit with some of the prompts. Long story short, I'm gonna be an astronomer, and if I happen to read a lot of books in April, I'm just gonna become a Hogwarts professor of astronomy. And that was it for my little TBR. And that's it. Past week I've been trying to like get some more productiveness, but mostly just like structure into my week. And although I didn't do everything that I wanted to do, for example, I did not read in the Priory of the Orange Tree every day. I did read a lot. I participated in readathons. I did yoga every day. You know, the goal is not to be perfectly productive. It's just that I do the things that I really want to do, and I think I did that. So I really hope you enjoyed this vlog. It was kind of a roller coaster of a vlog. I don't know yet if I'm gonna vlog every week of the O.W.L.s readathon, but I'm gonna do my best, so we'll see how that goes. And I will see you soon. Bye bye!